The morning sun stretched across the thick pine groves of the Montana mountains, transforming Dr. Alara Vance's wooden cabin into a serene scene. The chirping of birds and the scent of damp pine were a familiar symphony that Alara, a retired conservation veterinarian, cherished. Sipping her coffee on the porch, she felt a rare tranquility after years on the front lines of wildlife rescue. Beside her was Kaiser, a sturdy German shepherd who always played the role of the silent protector. Kaiser, with his shiny black and tan coat under the sun, often leaned against Alara's legs, his brown eyes vigilant yet calm. In nature's stillness, you find life's loudest truths, was the mantra she often whispered to herself. Mid-morning, that peace abruptly broke. Without a bark or a warning, Kaiser suddenly stood up. He didn't run. He glided quickly and vanished into the dense woods in an instant. Alara's heart skipped a beat. Kaiser never left his guard post without reason. She put her coffee cup down, her professional gaze mixed with worry, and followed his tracks. After a few minutes of walking along the overgrown path, she called his name. Then, Kaiser reappeared. He didn't bolt back, but walked slowly, cautiously. In his mouth, held as gently as an egg, was a small, trembling, pale yellow object. Alara stopped, her entire body frozen. The light filtering through the canopy fell directly onto the creature, and she realized with horror it was a newborn lion cub, soaking wet and nearly unconscious. The shock lasted only a second. Then, the rescuer's instinct took over. Alara did not panic. Even facing a creature that absolutely did not belong in the Montana ecosystem, her professional rationale prevailed. Panic is a waste of precious time. I must be the lifeline for this small creature, she told herself, her voice a declaration of her composure. She gently took the cub from Kaiser's mouth, quickly checking its condition. Its skin was cold, its mucous membranes pale, and its breathing dangerously shallow. Alara's initial diagnosis: severe dehydration and hypothermia dangerously close to death. She carried the cub into her small clinic, a room fully equipped with her specialized veterinary tools. This was when her 15 years of experience in wildlife veterinary medicine came into play. She placed the cub on a soft heating pad, wrapping it in lightly warm towels, keeping it away from direct heat. Her every move was meticulous and firm, with no wasted motion. The next crucial step was fluid therapy. With intense focus, she prepared and administered subcutaneous fluids, a method requiring absolute precision to avoid harming the tiny, fragile body. Throughout the tense emergency, Kaiser did not leave her side. He lay under the examination table, whimpering softly like an encouragement. His vigilant eyes followed the cub's every movement, acting as a calm anchor in the storm of the emergency. The strange bond between the woman, the dog, and the lion cub was palpable, a sight that soothed Alara's anxiety. Under Alara's professional care and the warmth of the heating pad, a faint pink began to return to the cub's gums. It let out a weak, kitten-like mew. As the creature's condition stabilized slightly, curiosity and concern resurfaced in Alara. How could a lion cub appear in the middle of the Montana wilderness? It couldn't be a native animal. Without hesitation, she called an old friend, Ranger Marcus, at the nearby Montana Wildlife Sanctuary. Marcus's voice was rushed and tense when he heard Alara's description. A lion cub in Kaiser's mouth? Then came a heavy sigh. Marcus revealed a secret. He explained that a small pride of African lions, the evidence from a strange, seized exotic pet trade case, had been secretly relocated there and was being temporarily housed while preparing for transport to a safer facility overseas. They had discovered a missing cub during their morning check and had been searching for the past 3 hours. Alara hung up, staring at the tiny life in her arms. This wasn't a coincidence. It was fate. Even in retirement from conservation life, she had been entrusted with an emergency rescue mission, proof that her purpose had found her once again. Ranger Marcus and his colleague were on their way. In less than half an hour, the screeching brakes of the wildlife sanctuary vehicle shattered the forest silence. Ranger Marcus and a younger colleague, Sarah, stepped out, their faces stressed but professional. Their appearance, in khaki uniforms and a high-tech, equipped vehicle, created a stark contrast to Alara's rustic clinic space. Alara quickly relayed the cub's medical status. She detailed the signs of hypothermia, the level of dehydration, and the dosage of fluids administered. Marcus and Sarah, though younger, showed absolute respect for Alara's experience and precision. "You saved its life, Dr. Vance," Marcus said, his voice full of gratitude. They carefully transferred the cub into a specialized transport kennel, equipped with modern temperature and oxygen regulators. Kaiser remained close by, his nose nudging the wire mesh of the kennel, as if sending his warmth and calm to the small creature inside. Alara placed a hand on Kaiser's head, smiling at her four-legged friend's incredible loyalty. While preparing to leave, Marcus began to explain the cub's situation in more detail. He recounted that this pride, including the mother lion named Nala and two older cubs, were victims of a large-scale exotic pet trafficking bust in Texas. They were secretly brought to Montana for recovery before being transferred to a permanent international sanctuary. Marcus said, "The mother, Nala, has endured prolonged stress and trauma. During the temporary relocation last night, the cub may have gotten lost or been unintentionally abandoned by Nala due to her panic and fear. This cub is precious to the pride, not just as a family member, but because of its rare genetic diversity. If it's not reunited with its mother, its chances of survival are very slim." This explanation not only provided the necessary context, but also served as a gentle lesson on the brutality of the exotic pet trade, a serious problem in the U.S. Worried for the life she had just saved, Alara decided, "I'll go with you. I need to make sure it arrives safely and is ready for the reunion process." Marcus nodded in agreement. The drive toward the sanctuary was filled with tense silence. Alara sat in the back, her eyes never leaving the transport kennel. She knew that keeping the cub alive was only half the battle. The other half lay in Nala's reaction. Everything was leading up to the greatest test. Could maternal instinct overcome fear and trauma? The scene about to unfold would determine the fate of a lion family. Upon arrival at the sanctuary, the team quickly took the cub through a final checkup at the medical station. Though still weak, the cub was stable and ready for the risky reunion. Alara, Marcus, and Sarah all understood this was the moment of truth. If the mother lion Nala rejected the cub, all their efforts would be in vain. They walked to the temporary enclosure, a large area filled with grass and dirt. Although secured by a sturdy fence, the air felt heavy under the harsh afternoon sun. Inside, the mother Nala paced restlessly. She let out a steady, deep growl filled with anxiety, clearly expressing the pain of losing her cub. The two older cubs also appeared unsettled, curled up in a corner. The cub was carefully placed in an open-topped box near the enclosure fence, in a position where Nala could easily pick up its scent. Alara and the ranger team retreated to a safe distance. Alara held Kaiser's leash tightly, though the German shepherd was completely silent, his eyes fixed on the area inside. Nala noticed the unusual presence of the strange object. She stopped, her body tense. Everyone held their breath. Nala began to approach, taking slow, deliberate steps, crouching low. Her face clearly showed the conflict between her instinct to protect the pride and her suspicion. Alara closed her eyes for a second, silently praying for the primal instinct of motherhood to triumph over all the fear Nala had endured. Nala finally reached the cub. She gently nudged the box with her nose, then sniffed the trembling cub. Seconds stretched into hours. Then, the cub, perhaps sensing the familiar warmth and scent, let out a weak mew. It was the family's secret code. Nala's reaction was powerful and emotional. She lowered her head, emitting a deep, strong purr, an unmistakable sound of relief and maternal love. She gently bit the cub's nape, lifting it with surprising tenderness, and carried it back to the secluded corner where the two older cubs were waiting. She began to lick the cub's fur, a familiar act of care. The two older cubs immediately approached, licking and circling their sibling. The family was reunited. Alara stood leaning against the fence, tears streaming down her cheeks. Kaiser whimpered softly, wagging his large tail. In that moment, she knew that she and Kaiser had not just saved a life, but had restored a family. "Kaiser, my silent hero, you performed a miracle," Elara whispered, grateful for her companion who had followed the call of compassion across species lines. The next morning, the Montana sun once again shone peacefully. Elara and Kaiser returned to the sanctuary to visit the lion family. The tension and urgency were gone. The atmosphere was now filled with relief and warmth. Through the fence, they saw Nala sprawled on the grass, the cub safely nestled beneath her belly. The two older ones played nearby. It was a perfect image of life preserved. Ranger Marcus stood beside Elara, smiling. "Dr. Vance, you and Kaiser delivered a miracle. You know, the story of a German shepherd who followed his instinct, saved a lion cub to reunite it with its mother, will be the story we use to raise awareness. It touches people's hearts, not just about conservation, but about boundless connection." Elara stroked Kaiser's head, her eyes full of gratitude. "I thought I was retired, Marcus. But perhaps my purpose chose this way to find me again. Sometimes the greatest actions come from the purest instincts." She paused, taking a deep breath of the fresh mountain air. We often think of the wild world as completely separate from our daily lives. We draw boundaries between humans and animals, between one species and another. But in that moment, Kaiser, a dog trained to protect sheep, answered a call that crossed the boundaries of species. He didn't act for personal gain, but for a deeper instinct, the instinct of compassion. Compassion is not just an emotion. It is a powerful guiding instinct that helps us see the pain of others, whether it's a person or a small creature trembling under a tree. This journey has taught me that as long as there is love and care, there will always be a solution and healing. If our story has touched your heart, I hope you will consider supporting the Montana Wildlife Sanctuary, where they do the extraordinary work of protecting stories like this every day. And if you've ever had an animal show you a new kind of love, a magical connection, please share your story in the comments below. Let us build a chain of infinite compassion together. Mission accomplished, Elara and Kaiser returned to their familiar wooden cabin. She sat down on the porch chair, feeling the tiredness, but also the serenity spreading through her body. Kaiser slowly lay down, gently resting his large head on Elara's lap. His steady, peaceful breathing was the most wonderful sound after all the stress. Together, they gazed at the Montana landscape stretching out before them, a vibrant picture under the late afternoon sun. It was not just the peace of the mountains. It was the feeling of completeness that comes from knowing compassion has won. Everything had concluded, but the story of the magical connection and the life preserved would continue to resonate in their souls. If this story has touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories of healing and connection between humans and animals. See you in the next videos.